Fight for your freedoms. Fight for your rights. The next president of the United States must not only win an election, he must have the vision, the will, and the courage to do whatever it takes. And above all, he must be able to identify the underlying forces that will conspire against him. These dark forces are already taking over your country. You may not see it yet, but it's already happening.
We're looking at America destroyed right now. We even have the criminals coming across the border, going against the cops right here. You got kids that are going to steal, rob. They got the AR-15s, and there's no consequence. And so what you see is chaos across the country.
Cops getting assaulted, cops getting killed. How does it stack up under this White House versus the Trump White House?
Well, we had 378 police officers last year, Liz. That is a record since we started tracking the data. A 60% increase. That is one police officer every 23 hours. There are record numbers of assaults on NYPD officers.
And so we're seeing this repeated cycle right now. And it used to be an issue where it was just in urban cities. Now it's everywhere. Crime is impacting. If you're American and you see what's happening on the street, you're concerned. You don't want to walk out on the street by yourself at night.
Known as the Center for Terrorism Confinement, it opened its doors in 2023 after the government declared a state of emergency. The move limiting civil rights and allowing massive arrest of tens of thousands of gang members.
Aquí están esos sujetos que ocasionaron tanto luto y dolor en una sociedad.
And international watch groups say innocent people are being caught in the raids, many sounding the alarm last year, calling for transparency.
We don't know if those who are being detained have committed a crime.
Now, the president has admitted that these are harsh measures, but he's also said, Tom, that when the gangs ruled the streets of El Salvador, they did not take human rights into consideration. The president has gone as far as asking the human rights groups to come to El Salvador and take the gang members out of the country to a place where he says they can look after their human rights. So you can see the stance that's being taken by the president, standing firm by his decisions, Tom.
Yeah, we're in big trouble here. I mean, these are two of the most dangerous gangs on the planet. They are prison spawn gangs. They come out of the muck and the slime of these South American prisons, which are their stronghold. And as you say, Dana, we knocked them down in late 2000s with just an international effort. But now they're coming back in and they're reestablishing themselves. And that bodes ill for law enforcement across the country. We're going to be living with this crime wave for decades. And I believe that Venezuela is emptying their prisons deliberately and sending these people up here, just like Castro did in the 80s. They haven't evolved on the scale to the point where they're doing more sophisticated crime. And again, you go back to, if you Google MS-13 and machetes, you'll see how they people.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has reportedly rejected an offer from former President Trump to settle a civil investigation into his real estate business. The New York Times reports that might increase the chances of a potential lawsuit.
So he's being attacked in court. There's multiple court cases. Democrats, again, after he's being attacked in court, now they're resurrecting this narrative that Trump, without any proof, is a Russian asset.
He who shall not be named. I know Voldemort well, so there's another guy kind of like him.
What does he have on Donald Trump that he have to constantly be catering to Putin, telling Putin, go into these countries, NATO countries?
What do you think Putin has on him? I mean, it sure seems like something, as you've said a few times, given that he refuses to criticize him, that he seems to be a fanboy of him.
So I don't know what he has on him, but I think it's probably financial, either something financial he has on or something on the come.
Yeah, well, let me ask you about
that.
I got indicted 4 times. I have 8 or 9 trials, all because of the fact that and you know this, all because of the fact that I'm in politics. The 8th Amendment, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. It is a form of Navalny. It is a form of communism or fascism.
Now, the problem for New York is the financial capital of the country, if not the world. But if those rules get abused by prosecutors, they're going to encourage people to leave, companies to leave, and new financial centers to arise. I could see President Trump and other wealthy people and other big financial corporations moving to Florida if they think that elected prosecutors are going to come after them for no good reason.
But every day that passes, the environment gets more toxic in terms of traffic of capital. And remember, investors don't have to go to New York. They have other choices. And that's clearly what's happening, is people are saying, why go there when there's this kind of risk? And everybody's asking this question: who's next? Because that's the challenge to quell down the concerns people have, not just domestically. This is a global story. This is about the competitiveness of New York State versus other states, and right now it's not looking good for New York.
Yeah, Kevin, you've been really clear on this, and this case is emblematic. But companies have been fleeing New York for years. A report from last August found that nearly 160 Wall Street firms have moved their headquarters out of New York since the end of 2019, taking nearly $1 trillion in assets with them. That's according to data from 17,000 companies compiled by Bloomberg. So the regulations, the regulatory environment is one thing, but if you add an arbitrary regulatory and justice environment on top of it, then yes, they could try to pretend like Donald Trump is an outlier. But who is next? Kind of answer that question you posited. Is it friends with Trump? Is it like Trump? Is it once treated about Trump? Where does it stop?
This shift is an extremely dangerous trend that undermines these institutions. Effectiveness and their credibility is at stake, both home and abroad. This is a warning from a friend. You should adhere to their foundational principles and purposes and denounce this new institutionalism. Those sacred institutions have morphed away from the reason they were created. We should not defend those institutions for the sake of being institutions. Instead, we should defend the principles that created those institutions in the first place. It's troubling to see that this is happening everywhere. Not only in El Salvador and the United States, it's happening everywhere. But even here, in the United States, in the most powerful country in the world, even here, it's happening. America should listen to these words, not because the El Salvador model should be replicated here, but because these specific examples apply to any nation that has lost or is losing its way. Ask yourself why this is happening, who is supporting it, and whether it's by ignorance or by choice. And fight it. Fight it with all your heart and soul, and be the beacon of hope. And be the beacon of hope that your founding fathers, with all their faults like every human being has, dreamt for your country.
It's astounding what's happening in Jocumba, just an hour east of San Diego. It's unprecedented, and we've never had it like this. And I think if you've clearly shown, there's folks from all over the globe. There's Middle East, there's Chinese nationals. Unprecedented here in San Diego County.
With an increase in robberies perpetrated by migrants on scooters, we are now learning that the attacks may be coordinated and linked to large crime groups. One migrant telling the Post, quote, "It's much bigger than me. In a million years, I never thought you'd catch me. I've been going to Miami every 3 weeks, and it's much bigger than me."
Elon Musk jumped into the fray. He's not giving his AI competitor a pass, saying, quote, "The woke mind virus is killing Western civilization." Google does the same thing with their search results. And so it brings up a broader concern. For a lot of people, Google is synonymous with informing yourselves, right? It's a verb. Google it. And so you've got search algorithms that are built by people, AI that's trained by companies with a specific narrative. We can think we're doing our own research, but it's really impacting what we know, Emily.
Google has apologized, but they're not sorry. If you Google anything on any political issue and then look at the results, I've got to go down like 6 pages to find anything from a conservative news outlet. They push this fake news, left-wing garbage on their search engine. So no doubt they're going to push the same thing on their AI product. And again, you look at algorithms, you look at, the humans craft the algorithm to give certain outputs. So it's garbage in, it's garbage out. They're sorry they got caught.
Like, they talk about whatever album is 1989. It's literally 1984, but it's 1989. We're just we're being programmed to have to watch her 24/7. I mean, it's really like an Orwell novel. It's Orwellian how much Taylor Swift is being thrown in our face, especially here in America.
Some might say I'm exaggerating, but we can clearly see the signs of a declining society because our own hit rock bottom decades ago. Even after our first war in El Salvador, we failed again to look into the signs of the second civil war that was coming, the gang war. After 1 million people fled the first war, a lot of them came to live in ghettos here in the United States, where the gangs were formed. When former President Clinton deported a lot of those gang members without telling us they were gang members, they were criminals. They roamed free and recruited young people, thousands of young Salvadorans, to join the gangs. At first, they seemed like petty criminals, but they began to change and transform until they became the unscrupulous that we know today. Most of them even perform satanic rituals, and this has been well documented. The government back then didn't deal with the disease, nor did the next administration, nor did the ones after that. The disease that had begun with mild symptoms got worse and worse. It became a cancer that seemed incurable. We are already seeing these symptoms in the United States.